What if the legends were real and someone caught them on tape? From dragons in the sky to creatures straight out of folklore, these shocking clips might change everything you thought you knew. Are these hoaxes or living proof of ancient myths? Join us as we dive into 1 hour of mythical creatures caught alive on camera. In 2017, a man in Paraguay got a motion alert on his phone from the security camera. But while he initially thought he had a bunch of stray dogs running outside his house, the reality was much more terrifying. The video started with someone trying to fend off a stray dog. However, as they left the frame, the video kept going. And at that point, the man realized there was something else in the frame, and it was approaching quickly. A large, shadowy figure walked into the light, its eyes looking feral, almost as if it wasn't even an animal. However, while the man watching the footage thought he'd seen a werewolf in disguise, many think this was just a strange-looking dog. Hiking alone in the woods seems like a fun idea, until you come across something that turns it into a nightmare. And that's exactly what happened to this guy, who spotted a creature standing behind a big oak tree.
To me, I don't know if that's its head, a face I'm seeing, or what. Whoa, I just seen something move over here. I hope I got that on film. I don't know.
He hid behind the bushes as soon as he spotted the creature, and even though he was putting his life at risk, he had to follow the beast to get clear footage. The deeper he went into the woods, however, the worse it got. Was it a werewolf or a Bigfoot? He wasn't sure. All he knew was that this monster was on the move, and if he didn't get out of the woods, he could end up losing his life. The following footage comes from Argentina, where an Uber driver was filming the streets at 3 in the morning when he heard a strange howl in the distance. But as he followed the noise and got closer, things got scarier.
Allá está, ¿lo ves? Ese es el lobizón, mira. Mira.
The howls were coming from a black dog-like creature in the distance. However, there was something strange about it because even though it walked on all fours, its head wasn't normal. The driver had to get closer.
Ese es el lobizón. Me corto la bola ese lobizón. Mira, mira qué feo, mira qué feo, mira.
The closer he got, the worse it got. This wasn't an ordinary dog, and the driver realized that too. He was looking at a real werewolf with a humanoid face.
Mira. Qué feo que.
Howls going to the woods with your friends for a relaxing vacation, only to spot something so spine-chilling it scars you for life. Because that's exactly what happened to these folks right outside their cabin.
Dude, do you see that? No, dude, what? No, dude, you see that? Oh my god. Dude, bro.
They thought a wild dog was approaching them from the woods, but they had no idea what was about to be unleashed upon them. This thing was no mere dog, and the second it stood up, they knew they had to run for their lives.
Right there. Tell me you don't see that. No way. What is that? Ellie, come on.
In 2020, a man was streaming on Facebook talking to the audience when he noticed something strange whizzing past his window. But while he initially thought it could have been an animal, the reality was much more terrifying.
That's the exact motherfucking spot now. That's my...
No one believed him at first, saying he must have been seeing things, but the man was adamant, so much so that he was willing to put his life at risk and step outside to prove everyone wrong. And that's exactly what he did.
My backyard. I'm zooming in a little piece. This is the exact spot that I just...
He thought. In August 2014, news from Mexico took over social media by storm when it was discovered that a nahual had been terrorizing a neighborhood in Veracruz. But here's the kicker.
Haber matado a un nahual, y es que las características de este animal no se asemeja a alguno de la zona. Además, conforme pasan los días, el supuesto nahual...
A nahual is a human who has the ability to shapeshift into an animal, almost like a werewolf. And these residents wouldn't let a monster walk around their neighborhood like that, so they took action and attacked it before it could attack them.
Tuxtla, San Andrés Tuxtla y Catemaco son municipios rodeados de misticismo, lugares de brujos, donde el bien y el mal juegan un papel.
The creature looked like a messed up dog, but they were sure it was a nahual because of its fangs and its dark fur. And to solidify their claim even further, they found a ritual site nearby.
Sin embargo, brujos afirman que es imposible que en estos tiempos en la zona existan nahuales. El último existió en Catemaco hace más de 50 años.
Footage comes from Woodstock, Georgia, where a man ventured into the woods with his dog, hoping for some quiet time. What he didn't realize, though, was that he was actually walking straight into mortal danger.
I saw it through the window. Show me.
His dog started acting erratically and barking at something out of nowhere, almost as if it had seen something. The man knew something was up, but while he should have just left the area, he made the mistake of following his dog deeper into the woods. 25th, 2019, a family in Brazil was about to go to bed when they heard a loud howl behind their house that didn't sound anything like a dog. Thinking it was a wolf, they got the camera and started filming through the window. They could see the creature slowly approaching through the bushes, but the scary thing was, this beast looked bigger than any animal they'd seen. And as it continued to emerge into the light, the terrifying reality also started to settle in. This thing wasn't a dog or a wolf. It wasn't human either. No, it had a dog-like face with a humanoid face. At this point, there was no doubt. There was a werewolf living in their backyard. In 2010, a bunch of friends were hanging out near the Bella Vista waterfront in Argentina having a couple of beers in the early morning hours, when they were abruptly interrupted by something emerging from the dark.
¿Podemos contar? ¿Qué onda? Mañana hay día de dar clases. ¿Mañana qué? Uy, loco,
It was dark, so they thought this shadowy creature was just a stray dog trying to cross the bridge. The second it started to move, however, they realized they were in danger because this wasn't just any animal, this was a cryptid.
Uy, loco, pará, ¿dónde? Uy, no, pará, loco.
Them. This video comes from Bladenboro, North Carolina, where a man was driving through the woods at night. As he returned home and started preparing to park his car, he realized he wasn't alone in this area. Turns out a creature had been sitting in the woods right next to his house. But the more he looked at his dashcam footage, the scarier it got. After all, this thing was bipedal and had dog-like features, which could only mean one thing: a werewolf. In 2021, a man was out for a hike in the woods when he spotted a dark figure walking through the trees ahead of him. But while most people would have left the area, the man mustered up the courage to get close and record it. This creature was unlike anything he'd seen before. It had a wolf's head, but it walked around like a human. It had to be a dog man. But with the man standing so close to the beast, a slight movement was all it'd take for it to notice him. The following footage comes from Mexico, where a man was going through the security camera alerts on his phone when one footage caught his eye. There was something off about this video because initially it looked like nothing was actually moving. Just when he thought this could have been an insect accidentally triggering his camera, however, it appeared. A shadowy humanoid creature with bowed legs and a dog-like face, casually walking in the street in front of his house. He was certain he'd just seen an owl. The following footage comes from Paraíba, Brazil, where residents heard loud barking deep into the night. However, as they got near the windows to check, the noise turned into what can only be described as nightmare fuel. An incredibly loud howl pierced through all the dog barks, sending shivers down everyone's spines. It almost sounded like a siren, which meant this thing wasn't even a wolf. At which point the people were convinced they had a werewolf among them. Many thought a wolf could have made this noise, but the residents were convinced they'd heard nothing like it before. Besides, the dog sounded strange too, giving even more credence to the fact that a werewolf had just walked into their territory. While being stuck inside your house because of a monster is already bad enough, this trucker had it even worse because, according to him, he was trapped in his truck for several hours because of a creature that had shown up outside the window. The creature, which the trucker claims was a werewolf, refused to leave the area despite his best efforts. In fact, it kept peeking in through the window, almost as if it wanted to get inside and attack the poor trucker. The following footage comes from Fresno, California, where a man was setting up his camp to relax and reconnect with nature. Little did he know, however, that he'd just walked into very dangerous territory.
Shape up there. What the hell is that? My God.
He could see a dark brown figure jumping across the field in front of him, and for a second he couldn't believe what he was seeing. But as the creature kept moving, the reality started to set in too. This was no animal.
Shape up there. What the hell is that? My God.
This was a Sasquatch. Many refused to believe him, but he was adamant he'd just seen a Sasquatch or a dog man. The video begins with a man recording the water's surface. At first it is unclear what the man is recording, but moments later something shocking happens. The surface starts to move slowly, and the stillness of the waters is now disturbed. The Lagarfliot worm is said to dwell beneath Iceland's Lagarfliot Lake, with sightings describing a long serpentine creature that moves eerily just below the surface. Legends stretch back centuries, blending folklore with modern videos that continue to stir curiosity and fear. Still, water often hides the loudest secrets, and this time, the legend didn't stay buried beneath the surface. What started as a typical day at work for Fairbanks employees suddenly became filled with excitement and fear after they witnessed something shocking. Luckily, what they saw that day was all captured on film. What you are about to see will shock you. Fishermen, deep-sea explorers, and even submarines sometimes report encounters with creatures that defy classification. Massive shapes, glowing forms, or strange silhouettes briefly captured on sonar. These rare sightings suggest that the ocean still harbors animals that science has yet to recognize or explain. One brief moment reminded them, the ocean doesn't give up all its secrets, it only offers fleeting glimpses of what may still lurk below. Giant thunderbirds are mythical creatures often described as enormous bird-like beings with wingspans reaching over 20 feet. Reports of sightings persist in Native American folklore, with some modern encounters claiming to have witnessed these massive birds soaring through the skies, creating ominous, thunderous sounds.
Month of July, 1977, many reports of giant living thunderbirds were pouring into newspaper offices and TV stations.
Giant thunderbird sightings describe massive birds with wingspans exceeding 20 feet, primarily found in North America. At the same time, reports include sightings of animals soaring through the skies or carrying prey. Still, no definitive proof exists, leading to debates over misidentified animals or theories about cryptids.
Across central Illinois, I, Chief A.J., of the Central Tribal Native American Council, was called upon by CBS television.
Thunderbirds soar through history, leaving a trail of awe and fear in their wake. Massive, elusive, and perhaps still hidden in the skies above. A group of friends can be seen in this video, hanging out outside in the streets at night. The recording shows the group talking and having a good time. A few seconds later, the recorder begins to follow a group of men walking past them. Little did they know that their night was about to change for the worse. Gnomes are mythical creatures often depicted as small humanoid beings living underground or in forests. Sightings are rare but are sometimes reported in folklore or modern claims, with individuals describing brief glimpses of small bearded figures or strange movements in rural areas. What started as a casual night took an unsettling turn as the appearance of something small, far from harmless, left them questioning what lurked in the shadows. Security cameras sometimes capture strange creatures, fueling theories about unidentified animals or paranormal activity. Whether it's bizarre shapes or shadowy figures, these clips often leave more questions than answers, prompting further curiosity and speculation about what might truly be lurking in the shadows. According to the video source, this was a leprechaun. Leprechauns are mythical creatures from Irish folklore, often depicted as small bearded men in green coats who guard hidden pots of gold. Sightings, though rare, are typically claimed by those who report glimpses of these elusive, mischievous beings in remote areas. Security footage sometimes captures more than expected, offering brief glimpses of the mythical and the mysterious, sparking wonder about what truly exists beyond our sight. What started as a regular tour for the tourists on this river ride suddenly becomes terrifying after the group sees something horrifying in the water. Instead of running away from the creature, they decide to record this, capturing everything on film. Water dragon sightings often describe serpentine creatures emerging from lakes or rivers, characterized by their long bodies and glistening scales. Witnesses claim they vanish beneath the surface quickly, leaving behind ripples and unease, especially in remote regions where local legends speak of aquatic guardians or spirits. What was meant to be a peaceful ride turned into something unforgettable, capturing a legend many only hear about, now rising from beneath the surface. The skunk ape is a foul-smelling, ape-like creature reported in Florida's swamps. Descriptions often match those of Bigfoot, but they are smaller and more agile in appearance. Eyewitnesses claim sightings date back decades, with photos, footprints, and sounds adding to the legend's eerie credibility. Skunk ape sightings often occur in the Everglades, usually near dusk or night. Witnesses describe glowing eyes, heavy footsteps, and an overwhelming stench. If you encounter the situation, remain calm, avoid confrontation, and slowly back away while maintaining awareness of your surroundings. Deep in Florida's swamps, this footage shows something moving just beyond the trees, fast, upright, and gone before anyone can speak. But the smell remains. What began as a routine night for the citizens in this city in China suddenly erupts into noise after they notice something strange moving in the clouds. Finally, after much confusion, they realize what they're dealing with. Watch this. Dragon sightings in China are often rooted in local folklore, with many describing large serpentine creatures soaring through the sky. These sightings are commonly associated with ancient myths and symbols of power, though evidence is scarce, making them a blend of legend and intrigue. The citizens watch in awe as a massive serpentine shape slithers through the clouds, its silhouette confirming the ancient myth, if only for a fleeting moment. A group of friends decides to go to a public park at night and record themselves having fun. While talking to each other, they suddenly hear a strange noise nearby. They immediately point their cameras toward the sound, and what they capture will surely shock you.
Uy, la puta que lo parió. ¿Onda, boludo? No. Ay.
Dogman sightings often describe a tall bipedal creature with a human-like body and a canine-like head. Witnesses report glowing eyes, deep growls, and unsettling behavior, often near remote roads or forests late at night with no clear explanation. Branches snap and something massive steps into view. Tall, fur-covered, with glowing eyes staring directly into the camera before vanishing into the dark. Ogopogo is said to dwell in Canada's Okanagan Lake, described as a serpentine lake monster with a long, undulating body. Sightings span decades, with witnesses reporting strange wakes or humps rising from calm waters, feeding the mystery around its existence. Several videos claim to capture Ogopogo, often showing mysterious ripples or dark shapes gliding just beneath the surface of Okanagan Lake. While skeptics argue they're logs or waves, believers point to the creature's consistent appearance and movement patterns across different clips. This video showed dark humps rising rhythmically across the lake, moving too smoothly for drifting logs, sparking renewed debate about what lurks beneath Okanagan's surface. What was supposed to be a routine boat ride for this group of friends unexpectedly becomes a once-in-a-lifetime experience after they manage to record something extremely terrifying on film. What you are about to watch is guaranteed to keep you up at night.
Yo no sé si está filmando esto, ¿no? Allá a la orilla,
The cryptid Nahuelito, which is said to inhabit Lake Nahuel Huapi in Argentina, has been spotted since 1910. Descriptions often resemble those of a long-necked creature, with reports and photos fueling speculation, although scientific evidence remains elusive. The mystery endures. As the boat drifts, a massive shape emerges from the water, its long neck rising above the surface before disappearing into the depths, leaving the friends frozen in shock. Torika Pond, located in Japan, is linked to cryptid rumors, with locals claiming to have seen strange creatures in the water. Legends suggest mythical beings such as water spirits or monsters may inhabit the murky depths, but evidence remains scarce. In 2009, a video surfaced showing a white, elongated creature in Torika Pond, surfacing briefly before diving back. Some believe it to be a sea serpent or an unknown aquatic cryptid, while others suggest it's a sea snake. Whatever surfaced in those waters left more than ripples. It left behind a silence even the locals struggle to explain. This group of friends decided that it would be a good idea to explore an abandoned cabin they discovered in the middle of the woods. Immediately upon entering the place, they feel something strange. Moments later, their fears are confirmed after they see this. The Wendigo is said to be a gaunt, monstrous figure tied to Algonquian legend, representing greed and cannibalism. Sightings often describe a tall, skeletal creature with glowing eyes, appearing deep in forests during winter, especially when someone is lost or alone. The footage captures a gaunt figure standing silently in the shadows, its glowing eyes fixed on them, unmoving as if waiting for one to wander off. Video sightings claiming to show dragons frequently appear online, featuring winged shapes that fly through clouds or distant mountain silhouettes. While none are scientifically verified, some believe they depict ancient creatures that escaped extinction or remain hidden in remote regions. In October 2022, a video emerged showing a prominent dark figure with notably long arms moving through the woods in Baxter, Tennessee. Filmed by Daniel Whitehead, the footage has sparked discussions about its authenticity and the creature's identity.
Do you see that? Do you see that? I'm afraid.
The following footage comes from a German history documentary, and it shows a hidden evil that appeared during the war in 1942. An evil so supernatural that anyone who encountered it was left scarred for life.
Wer sind die Männer in diesem Film? Keine offiziellen Militär.
The soldiers had gotten intel of a monster living in the woods, except that this creature only appeared under the moonlight and devoured anyone who dared stand against it. They had to tackle it in daylight and take down the fabled werewolf.
Die stäblichen Überreste des Remus-Skelettes, die immer noch im Berliner Museum für Naturkunde ausgestellt sind, neu.
They went in, found the werewolf, and shot it. But that was only the beginning of the horror that'd be unleashed upon them, because anyone who looked at this monster would suffer from its vision for the rest of their lives.
Titel Remus Monster, Deutschland, aus den manipulierten Knochen eines Wolfes.
In 2019, a small community in Brazil lived in fear of a beast that appeared one day out of nowhere and continued to terrorize them. That is, until one man decided to take matters into his own hands and confront the creature. He followed the beast's footsteps into someone's backyard, and the second he heard the howl, he knew he was at the right spot. Now, all he had to do was buckle up and prepare to face the monster. There it was in all its glory, a werewolf hiding behind a table, staring right back at the man who'd mustered up the courage to fight it. Just when he thought he had the chance to attack, however, things went south. In April 2021, a group of friends were hiking through the woods at night when they spotted a large humanoid creature in the distance. What they didn't realize, though, was that getting closer to investigate would be a big mistake.
Pra onde ele foi, mano?
Tem que matar, gente.
Cadê ele?
It all went wrong when the werewolf started screaming at them, and by the time they realized they were in danger, it was already too late. The monster was coming, and they had to run for their lives. If they had one thing going for them, though, it was that they had guns. And amidst all the panic, they were composed enough to take the shot. What they found after the mayhem, however, was horrific.
Ele ainda continua sangrando.
É, sangrando e fedendo. Pegamos ele.
Esse aí não levanta mais não.
Esse aí não levanta.
Of dogs wake up a Brazilian man at night because, unlike most other nights, one howl doesn't sound like the others. When he goes out to investigate, however, he realizes the thing he was chasing wasn't a dog at all. The creature appears to walk on all fours, but there's something off about it, almost as if it's humanoid and is trying to mimic a dog's walk. And just when the man starts getting suspicious, the creature transforms. The man is certain he's seen a werewolf the second it stands on its legs and starts running, and now he has to chase it down to get a clear view because otherwise this monster will haunt the neighborhood forever. Imagine, in 2009, people in Paraguay stumbled upon an animal's carcass in the woods. When they walked up to take a closer look, however, they realized this thing wasn't just any animal, the legendary Paraguay beast, the Luizon. Manifesting as a giant dog with extended front limbs, the Luizon was said to be a mythical creature born as the 7th male child in a family. But everyone's reality was shattered when they saw this myth turn into reality in front of their eyes.
Hi.
It was a dog man, but many believe he saw a real werewolf in his backyard. The following footage comes from a Sasquatch researcher, Scott Carpenter. And while he's caught several cryptids during his excursions, this video he captured in the woods might have been his best work. He was hiding behind some bushes in the woods, looking right at a massive, shadowy figure in front of him. Despite the danger, however, Scott was calm enough to get his camera and record the encounter. This is arguably one of the clearest cryptid videos ever recorded, and with Scott's record, it's likely to be real as well. But the question remains, is this a Sasquatch, a dog man, or worse, a werewolf? Over the years, people in Paraguay have reported strange sightings of a creature that emerges in the night and wreaks havoc near the woods. What these folks experienced in 2018, however, was the worst reported incident yet.
Hey, vengan a ver esto, boludo, vengan a ver, boludo, mira lo que hice, ¿Qué es lo que hizo, Mira, boludo, mira, boludo, se está preparado, boludo, se está preparado.
What initially looked like a hybrid between a dog and a bear quickly transformed into a monster. The people filming couldn't believe their eyes, but the more this thing moved, the more certain they got. They'd just stumbled upon a werewolf. At this point, they knew they couldn't run because this thing looked fast and ferocious. All they could do was try to calm the beast down and pray for their lives. And just when they thought they were in the clear, the monster started walking. Speaking of dogs acting strange, this man was woken up at night by his dog's constant barking. When he went outside to take a look, however, he realized an intruder had just emerged from the woods, and it wasn't human. The thing hiding in the shadows looked like a white wolf at first, but things got really scary when it started morphing right in front of the man's eyes. He couldn't believe what he was seeing, but then it stood up. On May, imagine getting a knock on the door deep into the night and going downstairs to check, only to realize the thing that's outside is not even human. Sounds terrifying? Well, that's exactly what happened to this person. As he went downstairs with his camera, he started hearing low growls outside his window, and one look was enough to confirm his suspicions. The glowing eyes, the dog ears, and the strange stance, this was a dog man. The creature kept knocking despite being spotted and wouldn't go away. But the way it stared at the man was the real scary part. In 2022, a family heard a howl outside their home and got notified by their security camera about an unwanted visitor. They checked the footage, thinking it was a stray dog, but it quickly became clear that they were wrong. A wolf's head emerged from the bushes in front of their door, but there was something off about the way it moved, almost as if it didn't have a wolf's body. And soon after, the creature moved and revealed itself.
Subscribe for more paranormal content.
This wasn't a wolf. This was a werewolf, and the closer they looked, the clearer it became. This thing had humanoid characteristics, and it was itching to break into their home and possibly attack them. The following footage comes from Corrientes, Argentina, where local residents claim to have shot down a werewolf in broad daylight. And just to make sure no one could argue against their claim, they filmed the beast for everyone to see as well.
¿Viste la cornilla? Mira, el diente igual que gente.
Tiene diente igual que una persona.
Igual que gente.
With his humanoid body and wolf-like head, there was no doubt they'd just taken down a werewolf. But that's where things got really scary, because once they zoomed in on its mouth, they realized how lucky they were to make it out alive. Many still think this werewolf was fake, but the residents are convinced they were right. In 2023, a man living in the woods had one of the worst moments of his life when a creature kept showing up at his house and stalking his family. However, things really went south when the thing decided to climb up his roof.
Oh, damn. Holy shit. All right.
No, bitch, there's one on the other side of the house.
The thing had glowing eyes, and it had been terrorizing him for days despite him firing several warning shots at it. However, things got terrifying when he got a clearer look and realized he was dealing with a Sasquatch or a dogman.
What the hell? Where'd it go? What is that?
He had no idea how to deal with the situation, and all he could do was film the creature to call for help. But as soon as he walked to the other side of the house to film the creature again, he stumbled upon something even scarier. In 2018, a man set up a hunting camera right next to a railroad trail to capture wildlife and see if he could spot anything he could hunt. However, what he captured was something he wouldn't have anticipated in his wildest dreams. A wolf's head popped out of the tall grass initially, which was promising for the man's hunting prospects. But little did he know that this creature had a lot more going on than just a wolf's head, because right underneath that was a humanoid body. In 2019, a Brazilian farm owner had one of the strangest experiences of his life when he kept waking up to dead animals. But when he installed cameras to monitor the situation, he realized an ordinary predator wasn't attacking his animals. His worst fear became reality as he witnessed a massive creature with a wolf's head emerging from the bushes. And while this thing's howl was terrifying, the growl is what really cemented it as a creature straight out of hell. The farmer's dogs were going crazy after seeing the creature, but they were no match for it. This thing was big, and the farmer had only one explanation. A werewolf was stalking him. In 2019, a couple of friends were hanging out in their neighborhood, fooling around with each other, when a creature sitting across the street quickly brought their fun to a halt. From a distance, it looked like a monkey or a stray dog, but there was something off about the way it was sitting. And while they decided to walk towards it for a closer look, they quickly realized they'd made a big mistake. What was supposed to be another typical day for these people suddenly becomes surprising after they see something shocking. They immediately rush towards their terrace, trying to get clips of this magnificent creature.
There's a unicorn. There's actually a unicorn. It's a horse with a horn. So that's a unicorn, right? That's a bit.
Unicorns appear in numerous myths and ancient texts as elusive horned creatures associated with purity and power. While no biological evidence confirms their existence, their persistence across cultures suggests an origin rooted in distant memories, misunderstood animals, or something yet to be classified.
It's like a horn. We found a unicorn. This shit is gonna go viral.
Legends don't always fade. They sometimes reappear briefly and brilliantly before slipping back into the pages they once escaped from. Voices of fear and excitement can be heard in the background during this shocking video. It shows a woman inside a car recording something unusual in the sky. At first, what they're recording seems unclear. A few seconds later, though, this can be seen on film. Throughout history, dragon sightings have been reported across cultures, from flying serpents in China to fire-breathing beasts in Europe. Even today, mysterious aerial footage and strange remains surface occasionally, fueling the belief that something dragon-like might still be lurking in remote corners. What begins as confusion turns to awe, as the sky briefly opens to reveal a form too familiar and too mythical to explain away. At the beginning of this subsequent terrifying encounter, a couple of friends can be seen recording themselves as they feed bunnies they have decided to keep as pets. A few seconds later, they hear something strange outside. Curious, they decide to check it out, only to capture this on camera.
Yeah. What? Yeah, there's something back there.
Mothman and the Flatwoods Monster have been subjects of eerie reports since the 1950s. Witnesses describe Mothman as a significant winged figure, while the Flatwoods Monster appears as a tall, metallic creature with a glowing face. Both continue to spark curiosity and fear. What started as a peaceful moment with pets quickly spirals into a chilling reminder. Some mysteries are never meant to be solved, only witnessed. The following encounter begins with a group of men heading into the forest at night. Cautious after hearing reports of frightening noises in the forest, the men thread through the area carefully. Moments later, their deepest fears are realized after they see this.
Ascolta. Mi sento o no?
The chupacabra is a legendary creature known for allegedly attacking livestock, especially goats. Descriptions vary from reptilian to dog-like creatures. Sightings have been reported across the Americas, though many are likely misidentified animals or hoaxes with no concrete evidence. Yet this can't be said for this video.
Hey, va, corre, corre, tia, va!
What began as cautious curiosity quickly turned to fear, confirming that some legends are rooted in terrifying reality, just waiting to be discovered. Dragons are mythical creatures, often portrayed as large, powerful reptiles with the ability to fly and breathe fire. Although no verifiable sightings exist, historical accounts of mysterious creatures may have contributed to the belief in dragons, blending myth with unexplained phenomena. Take this one for example. There have been no verified sightings of actual dragon remains. Many reports of such findings are often tied to folklore or hoaxes. However, some ancient fossils and large prehistoric creatures may have contributed to the myth of dragons throughout history. The legends of dragons persist, fueled by ancient fossils and unexplained sightings, reminding us that some myths might not be myths after all. In this subsequent encounter, a man immediately pulls out his phone to record the event. In the video's background, a bunch of people can be heard waiting eagerly for something to come out. A few seconds later, their most dreaded wish finally happens.
Aquí por la casita rosa, güey. Aquí por la casita rosa, güey.
El Charro Negro, a ghostly figure from Mexican folklore, is often described as a tall man in black riding a dark horse. Sightings usually occur on empty roads or near cemeteries, with witnesses reporting overwhelming dread and eerie silence. As anticipation shifts to fear, the legend steps into reality, reminding everyone why El Charro Negro is feared, not just believed in. Griffins are legendary creatures with the body of a lion and the head, wings, and talons of an eagle. While considered mythological, their presence in ancient art and lore has led some to speculate that fossil discoveries or unknown animals may have inspired them. But watch this clip first and let us know what you think. Rumors suggest that a Saudi prince secretly owns a living griffin, housed in a private collection that remains hidden from public view. While there is no verified proof, blurry images and anonymous testimonies continue to fuel speculation about this mysterious and possibly ancient creature. blurry or not, the clip adds to whispers of creatures hidden in places few ever see, real or imagined. The line between reality and imagination keeps thinning. A man is just relaxing inside his house, facing his front porch. Moments later, he hears a strange sound outside. Upon closer look, he sees something unusual, prompting him to call for help. Watch how the rest of this terrifying encounter unfolds.
Having visions and dreams concerning his work and different things, and the enemy is being attacked by you, Lord, and I just, he's all worked up.
A skinwalker is a shape-shifting entity from Navajo folklore, believed to be a human who can transform into animals. Sightings often describe eerie figures in remote areas. If encountered, it's advised to leave quickly, as such beings are linked to dangerous dark forces.
God, I just come against this. I find these things right now, these evil spirits that are just harassing Rick and just coming into his yard. I just find those things right now. I command them to cease.
As the man peers out, he sees a shadow move unnaturally fast, its form shifting between human and animal. Then it's gone, leaving only dread behind. The video begins with a diver recording the vibrant life on the ocean floor. The video shows him tracing the fish as they pass by with his camera when, all of a sudden, a shadowy figure can be seen in the distance. Seconds later, this happens. Mermaid sightings span centuries, with sailors reporting half-human, half-fish beings surfacing beside ships or perched on rocks. Modern accounts persist, especially near coastal regions, often linked to shadows or strange figures seen in the water that defy easy explanation. The diver freezes as a humanoid figure with a finned tail darts past, vanishing into coral. Too fast, too graceful to be explained away. Bigfoot sightings in the forest often involve prominent shadowy figures walking upright between trees, leaving behind massive footprints and strange vocalizations. Witnesses frequently report an overwhelming sense of being watched, followed by vanishing movement deeper into the woods without warning.
He's standing above the bushes. He, she, whatever. Look how tall that is. Yo, it's white.
Some Bigfoot sightings describe a creature covered in white or light gray fur, often mistaken for a ghostly figure at first glance. These rare encounters typically occur in snowy forests, contributing to their eerie appearance and sparking debates about potential regional variations.
It's white. It looks like its eyes are like hologram. See how dark its eyes are? Yo, this is scary to an extent. I don't usually see...
A hiker's camera catches a pale, towering figure slipping between snowy trees. Its gait smooth, its presence unsettling, vanishing silently like mist into the forest. At the beginning of this subsequent encounter, a man can be seen being filmed by his friend as he performs tricks on his ATV. They decide to do this in the middle of the forest to avoid disturbing anyone. Unfortunately for them, they manage to disturb something much worse. Some Bigfoot sightings have been accidentally captured on video, often during casual outdoor activities. These moments, typically brief and unclear, fuel the mystery surrounding the creature, leaving viewers to debate whether these glimpses are genuine encounters or just misinterpretations. As the ATV roars past, a shadowy figure moves swiftly between the trees, briefly captured in the frame, leaving the men questioning what they've just witnessed. In this subsequent encounter, a group of soldiers can be seen enjoying the scenic view of the area in which they have been deployed. One of them decides to pull out his phone and record. In the video, you can see the beautiful hills they are in when suddenly this happens. The White Lady is a ghostly figure in various cultures, often linked to tragic events. Sightings typically involve a woman in white clothing, sometimes said to appear near roads or in forests. These sightings usually spark fear and curiosity. As they film, a figure dressed in white appears at the edge of the hills, moving silently through the fog. The soldiers stop, unsure whether it's real or a trick of the light. The subsequent frightening encounter features dash cam footage of a man driving through the thick snow covering the road, aiming to get home as quickly as possible. As if pushing through snowy roads isn't dangerous enough, something happens moments later, making him regret driving at night. Drivers often report seeing a towering figure, covered in dark hair, crossing remote roads in complete silence. Headlights catch the shape for just seconds before they vanish into the trees, leaving behind confusion, tire marks, and a lingering sense of unease. The figure appears just long enough to confirm it's not human, its towering frame vanishing into the snowy woods without a trace. The following clip shows a group of guys hanging out at night, recording themselves performing various tricks. The video is a bit blurry, but everything is still clearly visible. Now watch closely as something extremely frightening is about to happen. Sightings of gnomes or goblins often emerge from wooded areas or old gardens, where small humanoid figures are seen darting between trees or peering from the underbrush. But in this case, it's different. Reports typically describe them as mischievous and eerie, and they often vanish quickly when approached or filmed. Fairies are mythical beings often depicted as small magical creatures with wings. Sightings of fairies are rare, but they usually include reports of glowing lights or figures flitting through forests or gardens, typically attributed to folklore or natural phenomena.
What is it? I don't know. Oh my god!
Ugh.